The knife was at her throat before Adaeze even heard the door open. In the reflection of her bathroom mirror, she could see him, a masked figure in black, his breath fogging the cold Seoul air that rushed into the window he'd shattered. The blade pressed harder, drawing a thin line of blood, and all she could think was how ironic it was to die in a penthouse bathroom that cost more than her entire village back in Nigeria. Then she heard it, the sound of footsteps, measured, unhurried, like someone taking a casual stroll, rather than walking into a hostage situation. "You have exactly 2 seconds to remove that knife from my wife's throat." The voice was ice incarnate, speaking flawless English with a Korean accent so slight it was almost imperceptible. After that, I stopped being civilized. Adaeze's eyes found him in the doorway. Park Jihoon, her husband of exactly 17 days. The man who'd bought her like cattle to save her family from ruin. The man everyone whispered couldn't possibly be interested in women. The man who'd never once looked at her with anything beyond cold calculation. Except now. Now his eyes burned with something that made the knife at her throat seem like the lesser danger. The intruder laughed, pressing the blade harder. "The great Park Jihoon, they say you're soft. They say you've never even been with a woman. Where are you going to?" The sentence ended in a scream. Adaeze didn't even see Jihoon move. One moment he was in the doorway. The next the intruder was on the marble floor, his wrist bent at an impossible angle, the knife spinning away. Jihoon's designer shoe was pressed against the man's throat, and his expression was death personified. "They say many things about me," Jihoon said conversationally, pressing harder. "Most of them are carefully cultivated lies. But there's one truth you should have known before you touched her. I don't share. I don't forgive. And I absolutely don't give second chances." Jihoon, Adaeze's voice came out as a whisper, her hand touching the shallow cut on her throat. "Don't kill him." His eyes snapped to hers, and for a moment, she saw something raw and desperate flash across his features. Then he removed his foot, grabbed the intruder by the collar, and threw him toward the door with casual violence. "Security is on their way up. If I ever see you again, if you ever come within a kilometer of her, I'll show you exactly what the son of Korea's most feared crime family is capable of. And trust me, you don't want that demonstration." The man scrambled away, clutching his broken wrist. The moment he was gone, Jihoon was there, his hand surprisingly gentle as they tilted her chin up, examining the cut. "You're bleeding." His voice cracked on the word. "It's just a scratch." "He made you bleed." Each word was precise, controlled, but she could feel the rage vibrating beneath the surface. "In our home. He put a knife to your throat in our home. How did you even know? You were supposed to be in Busan until tomorrow." Something shifted in his expression. "I felt it." "You what?" "I was in the middle of a board meeting, about to close a deal worth $500 million, and suddenly I couldn't breathe. It was like someone was squeezing my chest, like something was fundamentally wrong with the world. And I knew it was you." Adaeze stared at him. This stranger she'd married 17 days ago, this cold businessman who'd never shown an ounce of emotion, and saw someone completely different, someone dangerous, someone desperate, someone who just admitted to feeling her distress from 300 kilometers away. "That's impossible," she whispered. "Everything about you has been impossible from the moment you walked into my life." His thumb brushed over her cheekbone, smearing away a tear she didn't realize had fallen. "You want to know the truth, Adaeze? The truth they all gossip about behind closed doors." She nodded, unable to speak. "I've been with women, many women, but I've never felt anything. Not desire, not connection, not even basic interest. So I let them think what they wanted. Let them spread their rumors about my preferences, because it was easier than admitting I was broken, that I couldn't feel what normal people feel." His forehead dropped to hers, and his next words destroyed her. "Then you showed up, furious and terrified and magnificent. And suddenly I felt everything. Everything I'd been missing, everything I thought I was incapable of feeling. It all crashed into me the moment I saw you standing in that restaurant, ready to walk away from a deal your family desperately needed because I disrespected you. And I've been drowning ever since." The confession hung between them like a live wire. Adaeze's heart was racing so fast she thought it might explode. This wasn't the plan. This arranged marriage to a cold Korean billionaire was supposed to be simple, transactional, emotionless. It wasn't supposed to involve attempted murder and impossible confessions and the kind of chemistry that could burn down cities. Jihoon, she started, but he pulled back, his walls slamming back into place so fast it gave her whiplash. Security will be here soon. They'll need your statement. I'll have a doctor look at that cut. He turned to leave, once again the ice prince everyone knew. So we're just going to pretend this didn't happen? Adaeze's voice stopped him at the door. Pretend you didn't just admit to feeling me from 300 kilometers away? Pretend you didn't just confess that I make you feel things you've never felt before. He looked back at her, and the conflict in his eyes was devastating. Yes, because the alternative is admitting that this arrangement has become something neither of us can control, and that terrifies me more than any knife ever could. But before we get to how a Nigerian doctor's daughter and a Korean chaebol heir went from a business transaction to whatever this was becoming, we need to go back. Back to 6 weeks ago, when Adaeze Okonkwo's entire world collapsed with a single phone call, and the only solution was selling herself to a man whose reputation was built on ice and rumors. The call came at 3 a.m. Lagos time. Adaeze was in the middle of a 36-hour shift at Lagos University Teaching Hospital, running on caffeine and determination, when her phone lit up with her mother's face. Mama? What's wrong? The silence on the other end told her everything. Her mother never called during her shifts unless it was an emergency. Ada, your father, is he sick? Did something happen? He's been arrested. The words didn't compute. Her father, the respected businessman who'd built his logistics company from nothing, arrested? For what? Fraud. They're saying he embezzled funds, that the company is bankrupt, that he owes millions to investors. Her mother's voice broke. Ada! There and take everything. The house, your siblings' school fees, everything. Adaeze sank onto a hospital bed, her legs suddenly unable to support her. How much? 700 million naira. The number was impossible, insurmountable. Even if she worked every day for the rest of her life, she'd never make that much. There's more, her mother continued, and Adaeze could hear the shame in her voice. There's a man, a Korean businessman. He's offered to help. In exchange for what? The silence stretched so long Adaeze thought the call had dropped. For you. 3 days later, Adaeze sat in the Lagos Sheraton's presidential suite, staring at the contract that would sell her freedom for her family's salvation. The man across from her was nothing like she'd expected. Park Jae-hyun was devastatingly beautiful in a way that made you uncomfortable, like looking directly at the sun. Sharp cheekbones, dark eyes that revealed nothing, a mouth that looked like it had never smiled. He was 31, heir to Park Industries, and according to Google, worth approximately $2.3 billion. The terms are non-negotiable, he said in accented but perfect English. Marriage for a minimum of 3 years. You'll live in Seoul. You'll attend public functions as required. You'll maintain the image of a devoted wife. In exchange, your father's debts disappear, your siblings' education is funded through university, and you receive a monthly allowance of $50,000. Why me? Adaeze asked, proud when her voice didn't shake. You could have any woman in Korea. Why fly to Nigeria to buy a wife? Something flickered in his expression, gone too fast to identify. Korean women come with Korean expectations, Korean families, Korean drama. You're convenient, uncomplicated. Adaeze laughed, bitter and sharp. If you think any woman is uncomplicated, you're either naive or stupid, and something tells me you're neither. His eyebrows rose fractionally, the first real reaction she'd gotten from him. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? A grateful little village girl who'd cry with joy at being saved by the rich foreign prince. I expected someone who understood the value of what I'm offering. I understand perfectly. You're buying me to solve whatever problem you have in Korea. The question is, what problem is worth 2 billion naira and a 3-year contract? He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, there are rumors about me in Seoul. About my preferences. They're affecting business. International partners are nervous. The board questions my leadership. I need them stopped. You're gay. It wasn't a question. No. Then why? Because I don't pursue women the way they expect. I don't play their games or feed their dreams of romance. I focus on business. Only business. And in their minds, that means something must be wrong with me. So you need a wife to prove you're straight. I need a wife to end the conversation entirely. Adaeze stood, walking to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lagos. Her city, her home, the place she'd have to leave to save her family. I have conditions, she said finally. The terms are non-negotiable. She turned to face him. Then find another convenient Nigerian woman to buy. I'm sure there are plenty who'd take your money without questions. He stood as well, and she realized how tall he was, how he seemed to take up all the air in the room. What conditions? I continue my medical career in Seoul. I want to work, not sit in your penthouse like a decorative object. Fine. I want to visit Nigeria at least 3 times a year. Acceptable. And we maintain separate bedrooms. This is a business arrangement. Nothing more. Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. Of course, I have no interest in you beyond the function you serve. The word shouldn't have stung. This was what she wanted. Clear boundaries, professional distance. But something about the way he said it, so cold and dismissive, made her want to slap him. Then we have a deal, Mr. Park. Jihoon, he corrected. If we're convinced Seoul we're in love, you should probably use my name. The way he said love, like it was a foreign word he'd never quite learned, made Adaeze wonder what she was really signing up for. 2 weeks later, she landed at Incheon Airport to a wall of cameras and questions in Korean she didn't understand. Jihoon met her at customs, and the transformation was instant. The cold businessman was gone, replaced by someone who pulled her into his arms like she was precious, who whispered, "I miss you," loud enough for the nearest reporters to hear, who looked at her with such perfectly performed adoration that even she almost believed it. "You're good at this," she murmured as he led her through the crowd, his hand possessive on her lower back. "I'm good at everything I do," he replied, still smiling for the cameras. "It's why I chose you. You have the kind of face that makes people believe in fairy tales." And what kind of face is that? He looked down at her then, and for a moment, the mask slipped. The kind that makes even someone like me want to believe in them too. Before she could respond, they were at the car, and the moment they were inside, he was back to cold professionalism, scrolling through his phone while Seoul blurred past the windows. The penthouse was exactly what she'd expected. Sterile, modern, expensive. Everything white and glass and sharp edges, like its owner. "Your room is the second door on the left," he said, already moving toward what she assumed was his office. "The housekeeper will help you settle in. We have dinner with my parents tomorrow. The stylist will be here at 3. Jihoon." He paused but didn't turn. "Are we really going to live like strangers?" "We are strangers," he said simply. "The only difference is now we're strangers who share a legal document." The first week was an exercise in careful choreography. They move around each other like planets in separate orbits, only intersecting when necessary. Breakfast was silent. Dinners were non-existent. He worked late. She explored Seoul. The only time they spoke was to coordinate their public appearances. The dinner with his parents was a revelation. His mother was elegant poison wrapped in Chanel. His father, an older version of Jihoon, with even less warmth. They spoke to her in Korean, knowing she didn't understand, while Jihoon translated only the bare minimum. "She's pretty enough," his mother said, looking at Adaeze like she was examining livestock. "But Nigerian? Really, Jihoon? What will the board think?" "The board will think I've expanded our international connections," he replied in English, a subtle defense that made Adaeze's heart skip. Adaeze is a doctor. She speaks 4 languages. Her father owns one of Nigeria's largest logistics companies. If anything, she's overqualified to be a Park. His father laughed, cold and dismissive. "Don't pretend this is about qualifications. We all know why you needed to marry quickly." "Yes," Jihoon said, his voice dropping to something dangerous. Because you threatened to remove me as CEO if I didn't prove myself by my 32nd birthday. Congratulations. I've met your arbitrary deadline. The tension was suffocating. Adaeze reached for Jihoon's hand under the table, an instinct to provide comfort, and was shocked when he gripped it like a lifeline. At least the rumors will stop now, his mother sighed. A wife should quiet the whispers, especially one so... She gestured at Adaeze, obviously feminine. Adaeze had never wanted to punch someone more in her life. Yes, she said sweetly in the Korean she'd been secretly studying. I'm very feminine and very real, unlike some people's facial features at this table. The silence was deafening. Jihoon's mother's face went through several colors while his father choked on his wine. And Jihoon was looking at her like he'd never seen her before. You speak Korean, he said slowly. I'm a fast learner, especially when people talk about me like I'm not there. His mother stood abruptly. This dinner is over. After they left, Jihoon was silent the entire ride home. Adaeze thought he was angry until they reached the penthouse, and he started laughing. Real, genuine laughter that transformed his entire face. You told my mother her face was fake. She deserved it. She did. He looked at her then, really looked at her. No one's ever defended me like that before. Well, someone should. Your parents are horrible. They're complicated. They're abusive. The word hung between them, too honest of their arrangement. Thank you, he said finally, quietly, for tonight, for holding my hand. We're supposed to be married. Married people hold hands. We're not really married. The words hurt more than they should. No, we're not. 2 weeks passed. They developed a rhythm. Adaeze started working at Seoul National University Hospital, her Korean improving daily. Jihoon worked 18-hour days, but started coming home for dinner occasionally. They talked about safe things, her work, Korean customs, anything but themselves. Then came the charity gala. Adaeze wore a red gown that made her dark skin glow, and Jihoon couldn't stop staring. The entire room watched them, whispered about them, speculated about them. Dance with me, he said suddenly. We don't have to. Please. The words sounded foreign in his mouth. Dance with me? They moved together perfectly, like they'd been doing for years. His hand on her back was warm, steady. He smelled like expensive cologne and something uniquely him. People are staring, she murmured. Let them. I thought the point was to be convincing, but not too intimate. He pulled her closer. Maybe I'm tired calculating every move. Jihoon, do you know what the worst part is? His voice was low, meant only for her. I'm starting to forget this is fake. Before she could respond, someone bumped into them. A woman, beautiful in that carefully constructed Korean way, wearing white like a bride. Jihoon, she purred in accented English. I heard you got married. I had to see for myself. Minji? His entire body went rigid. She looked at Adaeze with dismissive eyes. So this is her. Your solution to the rumors. She laughed, tinkling and false. How much did she cost? I'm curious about the going rate for wives these days. Watch your mouth. Jihoon's voice was lethal. Why? Everyone knows what this is. You needed a wife to keep your position, and you bought one from Africa. It's actually quite clever. She can't leave. Where would she go? She doesn't speak the language, doesn't have connections. The perfect trapped little bird. Adaeze felt Jihoon tense, ready to explode, but she touched his arm gently and stepped forward herself. You're right, she said calmly. He did buy me. Paid quite a lot, actually. But you know what the funny thing is? Even as a purchase wife, I still rank higher than his ex-girlfriend who's desperate enough to cause scenes at charity galas. That must sting. Minji's face flushed. You don't know anything about our history. I know enough. I know you're the one who started the gay rumors when he wouldn't marry you. I know you've been trying to sabotage his business deals. I know you're the reason he built walls so high that buying a wife seemed like a better option than ever trusting another Korean woman. How dare you? I dare because I'm Park Jae-hyun's wife. Real or fake, That gives me the right to protect him from toxic people who think love means ownership. She smiled sweetly. Now, if you'll excuse us, my husband owes me another dance. She pulled Jihoon back onto the dance floor, leaving Min-ji standing there with her mouth open. He was staring at Adaeze like she was a miracle. How did you know all that? Your secretary, Mr. Kim, is very chatty when he's had soju. He's also very protective of you. You've been investigating me? Know thy husband, even the fake ones. She paused. Was I right? About her? Every word. His hand tightened on her waist. She nearly destroyed me, made me believe I was incapable of feeling what normal people feel. And when I couldn't love her the way she wanted, she tried to destroy my reputation instead. You loved her? I thought I did. But looking back, I think I just loved the idea of being normal, of feeling what everyone said I should feel. And now, he spun her, pulled her back against his chest. Now I'm married to a woman who just destroyed my ex with words sharper than any knife, and I'm feeling things I don't have names for. The moment stretched between them, dangerous and electric. Then the song ended and the spell broke. They went back to pretending. But something had shifted. The careful distance they'd maintained was cracking. 3 days later, the first letter arrived. Plain envelope. No return address. Inside a single line, she's not safe here. Jihoon found it when he came home early. Adaeze pale and shaking in the living room. What is this? I don't know. It was under the door when I got home. He pulled out his phone immediately. I'm doubling security. Jihoon, it's probably just someone trying to scare me. I did publicly humiliate your ex. I don't care who it is. No one threatens you. Why do you care so much? We're not really. Stop saying that. His voice was sharp. Stop saying we're not real. We live together. We share meals. You defend me to my parents, and I defend you to everyone else. What about that isn't real? The fact that you paid for me. The fact that in 3 years this ends. What if it doesn't? The question hung between them, too big for the room. What are you saying? I'm saying that this arrangement is becoming something I didn't plan for. You're becoming something I didn't plan for. Jihoon. The second letter arrived the next day. Return to where you came from or face consequences. The third came with photos. Adaeze at the hospital, at the coffee shop, walking home. Someone was following her. That's it, Jihoon said. You're not leaving this building without security. I can't live like a prisoner. And I can't lose you. The words slipped out, too honest, too raw. They stared at each other across the kitchen island. The weight of unspoken feelings crushing. You can't lose something you never really had. Adaeze said softly, then let me have you. He moved around the island, backing her against the counter. Let me stop pretending I don't want to touch you every moment of every day. Let me stop lying to myself that this is just business when you're all I think about. The contract. Forget the contract. Forget the arrangement. Forget everything except this. He kissed her then, and it was nothing like Adaeze had imagined. It was desperate and consuming and felt like coming home. His hands were in her hair, hers clutching his shirt, and the world narrowed to just this moment, just them. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. Tell me you don't feel this too. I can't, she whispered. I can't tell you that. Then stop fighting it. Before she could respond, her phone rang. Unknown number. Don't answer it, Jihoon said. But she did, and the voice on the other end made her blood freeze. Hello, Dr. Okonkwo. Or should I say Mrs. Park? Enjoying your new life. Who is this? Someone who knows the truth about your husband. Someone who knows what he really is, what his family really does. You think you married a businessman? You married into Korea's most dangerous crime family. And now you're going to help me destroy them, or everyone back in Nigeria finds out exactly how deep in blood money your family's salvation is soaked. The line went dead. Adaeze's legs gave out, and Jihoon caught her before she hit the floor. What did they say? Adaeze, what did they say? She looked up at him. This man she was falling for against all logic, and asked a question that changed everything. Is it true? Is your family, are you? His silence was answer enough. Oh my God. She pulled away from him. Oh my God, I'm married into the mob. It's not that simple, isn't it? Your family, Park Industries, it's all front. No, the business is legitimate. Now, but how we started, how we built our power. He ran his hands through his hair. My grandfather was Yakuza. He came to Korea after the war, built an empire on blood and fear. My father legitimized most of it, turned us corporate. But the foundations, the connections, some of the methods, they remain. And you? What are you? I'm trying to be better, to be fully legitimate. It's why the board pushes back so hard, why they want me married. The old guard doesn't trust my vision of a clean future. So you bought me to convince crime bosses you're stable enough to lead? I brought you here to save your family. Everything else just happened. Adaeze's phone rang again. Same unknown number. Put it on speaker. Jihoon commanded. Ah, Mr. Park. I wondered if you were there. How does it feel, knowing your wife now knows the truth? Knowing she understands what you've dragged her into? What do you want? Jihoon's voice was deadly calm. Justice. Your family destroyed mine. Your father had my father killed for refusing to launder money. Your grandfather murdered my uncle for loving the wrong woman. 3 generations of Parks have spilled blood, and now it's time for payment. Then come for me. Leave her out of this. But she's the perfect pressure point, isn't she? The wife you actually care about, against all odds. The woman who makes the ice prince feel. I've been watching you both. The way you look at her when you think no one's watching. The way she defends you like you're worth saving. It's quite touching, really, which will make destroying it all the more satisfying. If you touch her... Oh, I won't have to. She'll leave on her own once she learns the full truth. About the trafficking. The murders. The drugs your family pumped into Myeongdong for decades. The blood on everyone in your bank account. That's not who we are anymore. Tell that to the families still mourning their dead. You have 48 hours, Mr. Park. 48 hours to decide. Your empire or your wife. You can't have both. I'll be in touch. The line went dead. Adaeze stood frozen, her mind spinning. Everything made sense now. The fear she'd seen in people's eyes when they heard Jihoon's name. The way businesses capitulated to him so easily. The dangerous edge that lurked beneath his controlled surface. I need air, she said. Adaeze, please. Let me explain. Explain what? That I'm married to a crime lord? That my family's debt was paid with blood money? That I'm now a target because of sins I didn't even know existed? You're safe. I'll protect you. Like you protected me from the truth? She grabbed her coat and headed for the door, but he caught her arm. You can't leave. Not with that maniac out there. I can't stay here with you right now. I can't look at you and reconcile the man who held me during that dance with someone whose family trafficked people. That wasn't me. I've never... But you benefited from it. Your whole life, your education, your company. It's all built on suffering. Yes. The admission was stark. Yes, it is. And I've been trying to make amends. To transform what we are into something better. But you're right. Everything I have, everything I am, is tainted. I need to think. Then think here. Think while protected. Hate me if you need to, but don't put yourself in danger because of it. She looked at him then, really looked at him. He was still beautiful. Still the man who'd laughed at her insulting his mother, who'd kissed her like she was a salvation. But now she also saw the shadow behind him. Generations of violence and power that would always be part of who he was. 17 days, she said quietly. We've been married 17 days, and I've already been threatened, stalked, and nearly killed. What happens at 18? 20? A month? I'll fix this. How? By becoming more of what you're trying not to be? By using your family's methods. His jaw clenched. If that's what it takes to keep you safe, yes. Then you're not the man I was starting to fall for. The words hung between them, an admission neither had expected. You were falling for me? His voice was raw. I was falling for the man who flew back from Busan because he felt I was in danger. The man who held my hand during dinner with his horrible parents. Not the heir to a criminal empire. They're the same person. Are they? Before he could answer, the lights went out. The entire penthouse plunged into darkness. In the distance, sirens began to wail. Get down, Jihoon commanded, pulling her behind the kitchen island. What's happening? I don't know. The elevator dinged. Footsteps. Multiple sets. Mr. Park. A voice called out in Korean. Your 48 hours just became 48 seconds. Give us your wife, and we might let you live long enough to watch your empire burn. Jihoon pulled out his phone, sending a rapid text. Then he looked at Adaeze, and in the darkness, she could see his eyes glowing with something feral. Whatever happens, he whispered, know that you were the first real thing in my life. The first choice that was mine, not my family's. Jihoon, where are you? He kissed her, hard and desperate. When I tell you to run, you run for the panic room. Second door on the right in my office. The code is your birthday. How do you know my birthday? I know everything about you. Your favorite color is purple. You're allergic to shellfish. You call your mother every Sunday. You want 3 kids someday. You're brilliant and brave, and the only person who's ever made me want to be better than what I am. Jihoon. 30 seconds, Mr. Park. The voice called. I love you, he said simply. I know I shouldn't. I know I have no right. But I love you, Adaeze Okonkwo Park. And that's why I have to do this. He stood up. No. She grabbed for him, but he was already moving. 10 seconds. I'm coming out, Jihoon called. But my wife stays. That's not the deal. It is now. He stepped into view, and Adaeze saw them. 5 men in tactical gear, all armed. You want to hurt me? Fine, but she's innocent. No one connected to your family is innocent. Then you'll have to go through me. What happened next will be burned into Adaeze's memory forever. Jihoon moved like liquid death, every bit the heir to a violent legacy. The first man went down before anyone could react. The second barely had time to raise his gun. The third managed to get a shot off, grazing Jihoon's shoulder, before joining his companions on the floor. But there were too many. The fourth man caught him with a brutal hit to the ribs. The fifth had a gun to his head. Stop. Adaeze stood up, unable to watch any more. Stop, please. Ah! The wife reveals herself. The man with the gun smiled. Come here, doctor. Let's discuss your husband's future. She moved forward slowly, her mind racing. The man grabbed her roughly, pulling her against him. The gun now pressed at her temple, just like earlier, but this time she knew the gun was loaded. Here's what's going to happen, the man said. You're going to help us destroy your husband's empire from the inside. You're going to be our eyes and ears. Or we kill him right now, and then we go after your family in Nigeria. Don't listen to him. Jihoon spat blood. Adaeze, don't. The man hit him with a gun, and he went down hard. Stop. Adaeze struggled against the hold. I'll do it. Whatever you want. Just stop hurting him. Adaeze, no. I said I'll do it. The man smiled. Smart woman. Unlike your husband, you understand the value of survival. Let him go first. That's not how this works. Then we have no deal. The gun pressed harder against her temple. You're not in a position to negotiate. Aren't I? Adaeze met the man's eyes in the reflection of the dark window. You need me alive and cooperative. Kill me, and you lose your leverage. Kill him, and I have no reason to help you. So let him go, and I'll do whatever you want. The man considered this. You're smarter than expected. I'm Nigerian. We're all smart. It's how we survive. He laughed. Fine. We let him live. For now. But you come with us. No. Jihoon tried to stand, but 2 men held him down. Take me instead. Please. The great Park Jihoon. Begging. How the mighty fall. The man started pulling Adaeze toward the door. Say goodbye to your husband, doctor. If you do what we ask, you might even see him again. In pieces, perhaps, but still. Adaeze! Jihoon's voice was desperate. Adaeze, please. She looked back at him one last time, memorizing his face, the desperation in his eyes, the blood on his lips. I'm sorry, she whispered. And then everything exploded. The windows shattered inward. Smoke filled the room. Gunfire erupted from multiple directions. Someone was rappelling down from the roof, through the broken windows. More were coming to the front door. In the chaos, Adaeze felt the gun leave her temple, heard her captor curse. She dropped to the floor, crawling toward where she'd last seen Jihoon. Adaeze! His voice cut through the mayhem. Where are you? Here. She felt his hands find her in the smoke, pull her against him. We have to move. Now! He half-carried, half-dragged her through chaos. She caught glimpses of bodies falling, heard Korean and Mandarin being shouted. Whoever had arrived wasn't the police. They made it to his office. He slammed the door, locked it, and pushed her toward what looked like a normal bookshelf. Your birthday, he gasped, and she realized he was bleeding from multiple wounds. She entered the code with shaking fingers. The bookshelf swung open, revealing a reinforced room. Get in. Not without you. Adaeze. We go together or not at all. He stared at her for a moment, then nodded. They stumbled into the panic room together, the door sealing behind them with a hydraulic hiss. Inside was a bank of monitors showing every angle of the penthouse. The main room was a war zone. Men in black tactical gear, different from their attackers, were systematically taking down the original intruders. Who are they? Adaeze asked. My grandfather's men. Jihoon collapsed against the wall, breathing hard. The old guard. I sent them an emergency code. I thought you were trying to get away from that life. I was, but when it comes to protecting you, I'll use every resource I have. She looked at him then, really looked at him. His shoulder was bleeding badly. There was a cut above his eye. His ribs were probably broken. And he was looking at her like she was the only thing that mattered. You're hurt. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're bleeding everywhere. She moved toward him, her medical training taking over. Take off your shirt. Adaeze. Now. He complied, wincing. The damage was worse than she'd thought. Multiple cuts, bruises already forming, and the bullet graze on his shoulder was deep. There's a medical kit in that cabinet, he said. She retrieved it, grateful for something to focus on besides the war happening outside their door. Her hands were steady as she cleaned and dressed his wounds, even as her mind raced. You called your grandfather's men, she said quietly. Yes. The ones involved in all those terrible things. Yes. To save me. I'd call the devil himself to save you. She paused, enwrapping his ribs. This is who you really are, isn't it? Not the businessman in the suit or the crime lord heir. You're both. You're someone who will use violence to protect what you care about, but tries to be better when you can. Does that disgust you? She looked at him. This complicated, dangerous, beautiful man she'd been forced to marry. It should. But I saw your face when that man held a gun to my head, and I realized something. What? I'd rather be with someone who'd burn down the world to protect me than someone who'd let it burn me instead. He reached up, cupping her face with a bloody hand. Adaeze. The lights in the panic room flickered. On the monitors, they could see the fighting had stopped. Bodies littered their formerly pristine penthouse. A man in an expensive suit stood in the center of the carnage, and even through the grainy camera feed, Adaeze could see the resemblance to Jihoon. Grandfather, Jihoon breathed. The old man looked directly at one of the cameras and spoke in Korean. Jihoon translated, his voice hollow. He says it's time to stop playing businessman. He says a family needs its true heir. And he says... Jihoon paused, his jaw clenching. He says my wife has proven herself worthy of the park name by surviving this. What does that mean? It means we're not just married anymore, Adaeze. We're in this for life. The real Park family doesn't do divorce. And they definitely don't let outsiders who know their secrets leave. Looked at Jihoon, wounded and desperate, and hers. So I'm trapped. We're both trapped. But maybe... He pulled her closer. Maybe we can be trapped together. Before she could respond, the panic room door beeped. Someone was entering the override code. He's coming, Jihoon said. My grandfather. And once he's here, everything changes. We'll be drawn fully into the family business. There'll be no more pretending we're normal. No more hope of a clean life. Unless we run. Right now, there's an exit tunnel that leads to the parking garage. We could disappear. Start over somewhere new. What about my family? The debt? I have enough personal money hidden away. They'd be safe. And your family, your company, would hunt us forever. Adaeze looked at him, this man who was offering to give up everything for her, this stranger who become everything to her in just 17 days. The door began to open. Decide now, Jihoon whispered urgently. Stay and become part crime royalty, or run and spend our lives looking over our shoulders. Either way, we're together. The door opened fully. The old man stood there, power radiating from every line of his body. Behind him were men with guns, waiting for orders. Grandson, he said in accented English, and granddaughter, you survived your first test. Welcome to the real family business. Adaeze felt Jihoon tense beside her, waiting for her decision. Stay and embrace the darkness, or run toward an uncertain light. Either path would change him forever. Either path would bind them together in ways their contract never could. She looked at the old man, then at Jihoon, and made her choice. We. But before she could finish, another explosion rocked the building. Larger this time. The lights went out completely. In the darkness, someone screamed. When emergency lights flickered on seconds later, the old man was on the ground, blood pooling beneath him. Standing behind him was someone Adaeze had never expected to see again. Hello, sister, her brother David said, holding a smoking gun. Surprise. Did you really think you were the only one the Parks bought? The gun turned toward Jihoon. And hello, brother-in-law. We need to talk about what your family did to mine. The real story. Not the debt, not the bankruptcy, but the murder they covered up. Our father isn't in jail for fraud. He's in jail for trying to expose your family's organ harvesting ring. And now, you're both going to help me burn the Park Empire to the ground, or I'll kill you where you stand. Adaeze's world tilted. Her brother, her sweet medical student brother, standing over a body with a gun in his hand and revenge in his eyes. David, she whispered, what have you done? What I had to, just like you did when you married him. Only difference is, I knew exactly what I was getting into. He smiled, and it was the coldest thing she'd ever seen. So, sister, want to know what really happened to our family? Want to know why you were specifically chosen? Want to know the real reason Park Jihoon needed a Nigerian wife? He cocked the gun. Because I promise you, the truth is worse than anything you've imagined. The emergency lights flickered again, and in that moment of darkness, Adaeze heard Jihoon whisper something that chilled her to the bone. He's not your brother. Then everything went black. And that's where we leave them. What a cliffhanger. Will Adaeze and Jihoon survive? And who is the man claiming to be her brother? Thank you so much for watching part 1. If you want to see what happens next, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you don't miss part 2. See you in the next one.